Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mining Now. I'm your host, Jared Downey. Today on the show, we have GeoSLAM. They are the industry leader in handheld SLAM solutions. We're going to be featuring two guests from their company, so they're really going to break down the technology, how they've innovated in the industry. It's going to be a lot covered and a lot to learn. So we're going to be having Matt Teppler. He's the regional channel manager from GeoSLAM, and Owen Howells, senior solutions architect. Now, this show is made possible by, obviously, the audience watching and our sponsors. So before we jump in, we're going to hand it over to Gowdy for our sponsors.
Alrighty, so today we've got General Kinematics. Revolutionize the way you think about screening with General Kinematics STM Screen 2-mass vibratory screen. Using General Kinematics proven 2-mass technology, this innovative screen is capable of handling increased capacities by up to 40%. With 2-mass natural frequency, load surges are no longer a problem. The load responsive design increases retention time, working the material longer, which increases screening efficiency. All these features combine to provide the most efficient, longest lasting, and lowest cost of ownership screen in the industry. General Kinematics STM screen smarter. You can visit them at generalkinematics.com to learn more. Next up, we've got Fuller Brothers. Fuller Brothers Inc. has over 59 years of tire industry experience as the world's leader in providing non-hazardous, non-toxic products that reduce tire management costs for a diverse range of customers. The acknowledged formula developers of the globally recognized Tire Life. Fuller Brothers also produces other quality products such as PSF Plus, PSF, LubeZit, Tire Cream, Dripless Tire Paint, Omega Tire Repair System, as well as select tire services tools and tire painting equipment. For more information, you can visit them at fullerbros.com. Fuller Brothers, we have the inside covered. And of course, we've got CIM. CIM is a leading membership organization for technical content and creating connections in the mining industry. Mining professionals and students can access a breadth of technical expertise through the CIM paper library, the CIM One Mind digital repository, the CIM journal, the CIM magazine, and of course, attend upcoming CIM webinars. Whether you're working in the field, in the office, or at home, join the community today and learn how they can help you achieve your professional goals. Visit them at cim.org. Next up, we've got Savannah Equipment. Savannah Equipment supplies new and used mining equipment around the world, from placer to underground to ore processing plants. They have gold concentrating tables, trommels, and mineral jigs in stock now to take advantage of the high gold prices. You can visit them at savannahequipment.com, where you will find more equipment every day. And last but not least, we've got PowerZone. When you need a specialized team of world-class engineers for your oil and gas pipelines, dewatering, or any fluid handling needs, you want to visit powerzone.com. In addition to their inventory of rebuilt pumps, motors, engines, they also have an amazing team to design and engineer your systems, no matter the challenge, no matter the location. Get in the zone with PowerZone. Visit them at powerzone.com.
Welcome back. Hello, Matt. Hello, Owen. Welcome to the show. Good to have you on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So I read through, and I probably understand just enough to be confusing. I remember when we first started these shows, I would talk, Gowdy and I would talk sometimes for about 20 minutes trying to unpack stuff. It's so ridiculous that we did it. So thank you for coming on right from the beginning and actually walking us through. So I think what I want to do, though, is maybe Matt, we'll start with you and then Owen. Just give us a snapshot of what you do for the company, and then one of you can take up sort of the outline of who the company is, and then we'll jump into all the technical information.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm the Canadian channel manager. So I manage and support our dealers across Canada, and also support our customers both directly and through our dealers, promoting the products, providing tech support, and various solutions for their different applications.
Owen Howells, I'm based in the UK. I'm the senior solutions architect, and I look after the mining and tunneling segment for GeoSLAM. I have a background in geology, worked in a lot of geology monitoring solutions, and now I'm helping GeoSLAM kind of lead the way, trying to get mobile mapping more into the front of laser scanning in the mining industry.
All right, let's give a snap. There's so much to cover, and I don't want to rush you through this intro, but we do. There's so much GeoSLAM is doing, and I want the audience to sort of be able to see at least some of it. I mean, we won't be able to cover everything, but just when you want to just sort of give an outline of who the company is, a little background, sort of some of the history and where it is now, what it's offering.
So GeoSLAM is, as you mentioned in your intro there, the leading provider of SLAM solutions around the world. So we started off back in 2012 with a joint partnership with CSIRO, which is a big group out of Australia there, developing the first SLAM kind of algorithm there, which is kind of the backbone of what our technology is, or the math running around in the background. From there, we've introduced a variety of scanners through the years, leading up to the current product, which is the GeoSLAM Horizon. That way, around the world, we have 11 global offices with over 90 distributors, and currently operate in 59 different countries.
Okay, Owen, over to you. Can you give us a little bit of just an outline of what SLAM is? I know in the industry, probably everybody knows it, but as happens quite often in the show, I get the terminology and I don't know what it all stands for. So can you just walk me through a little bit of what it is and how it works?
Sure. So GeoSLAM, we make these handheld laser scanners that are able to basically localize and help map an environment without the need for any external feedback into it. So we don't need GPS. We don't need an external terrestrial scanner to kind of reference it in. You just turn on the system, walk around an environment, and then you collect the data of your surrounding environment. So what that means in the mining industry, that means we can collect data much quicker and more efficiently underground. There's a lot of issues in the mining industry at the moment. There's a need to try and streamline a lot of the services underground and a lot of the data collection to try and feed this big data-hungry machine that is now mining. So we've really tried to kind of bridge the gap of trying to modernize some of these data collection methods within the mining industry without kind of overcomplicating the current roles that are available in the mines. Now, I'm sure you've heard lots, Jared, that mining is this big archaic dinosaur that's trying to modernize, but it's very slow trying to modernize. But we've seen in the past year that mining all of a sudden wants to make that jump and wants to now be the industry leaders. So GeoSLAM are really trying to help put this technology where it needs to be to try and help the kind of services in a large scale mining operation or a small scale mining operation. So there's many different aspects of where exactly this technology can slot in. And that's what I'm going to try and introduce you to today throughout this discussion, where exactly we do slot in and how we've tried to make that as easy as possible for our customers.
Yeah, in a moment, you sent me some links, and it can break down by the underground tunnels, shafts, stockpiles, all that. And I kind of want to break it down and sort of match up the technology and things like that. But so there's a lot we want to look at. But Matt, I wanted to this is a mining show, but I wanted to just touch on to just sort of give people maybe just there are people that watch and aren't out of the mining sector. So I wondered if sort of that I don't know if there's a SLAM for Dummies book. If there is, I should probably read one. But sort of giving it what it's capable of, and maybe some examples, or an example that is relatable that everybody sort of knows of.
I mean, SLAM, the whole goal is in a situation you want to get a lot of data really quickly and really easily. So we started in the mining sector for underground and other applications for like volumes and things like that, but we're used around the world for other industries. And that's part of the reason why I love working for GeoSLAM is that, I have applications where a lot in the architecture, engineering, construction basis to map out buildings, map out floor plans, do construction monitoring on, progress from one week to the next. We deal a lot with forestry applications. So, be it, tree diameters and densities and things like that, to the ease of being able to walk through a space and map out topography and just rapid areas. And any area that you need to collect a lot of data quickly is where we really excel. You've heard Owen talk about the terrestrial scanners, and when we say terrestrial, that's the laser scanners that are mounted onto a tripod. And the challenge with that is you have to move it and set it up in a bunch of different stations and kind of merge everything. And that's what SLAM is really doing in the background for you. It's taking basically a scan point from one to the next point and stitching it together to create this overall picture as you walk through. The best example we have is probably one we did with my Brazilian counterpart, Gabs. He was scanned Christ the Redeemer down in Brazil there. And so it's the same scanner we were able to use in the morning to walk or climb rather inside the statue there all the way up to the head and map out all the interior structure. They could walk around the outside handheld, but our scanner can also get mounted to the drone, which is what they did, and actually take it off and fly and actually able to merge all the scans together. So it really has that flexibility to scan indoors, outdoors, depending as the case may be. We also have a lot of users even just mounting it to our vehicle mount and driving it for more GIS applications. So you can drive up to 35 kilometers an hour and map out streetscapes and things like that quite easily. So it's just a really, really flexible solution, which is cool.
As a brand, there's Michael Jordan, there's Nike. I think there's a few symbols that just everybody knows. When you're a company, you get to have, and I'm seeing the picture, we'll bring it up for the audience as well. You have your logo and it's standing in front of Christ the Redeemer. That must be a little bit exciting, just a little bit.
I mean, it's pretty darn cool, and I have to say, I think everybody in the whole company was pretty jealous that we weren't the ones actually there for the filming of that part and the scanning of that. But there's all sorts of different fun things that we've been able to scan in different areas. The most popular thing I've ever had posted was one of the world's largest dinosaur in Drumheller. It's funny how certain things, maybe not to the same level of importance as Christ the Redeemer, but everyone loves seeing the data and seeing how it all materializes there, and that's really cool.
I hope someone I hope someone writes us in or emails us and said, "Did you just compare Christ to a dinosaur?"
Yeah, I'm gonna get flack for that, but it's all good.
No, actually, so Drumheller, I have a great memory of Drumheller. I went there and they did what's that race where you do over obstacles and all that sort of stuff? I'm drawing a blank on what it's called. Tough Mudder.
Yeah.
And it rained for 2 or 3 days in Drumheller. We just walked along with like a foot of mud. So it's been a while since I've been back there. But anyway, I wanted to sort of run through. So the different products, Matt, maybe we'll stay with you on this. Just on your website, like it's sort of a family of products. Can you sort of break down each one of them just so we sort of understand what we're looking at? And then later, maybe Owen, you can bring in, once we've introduced those products, you can sort of match them up with some of the applications specific to mining.
Definitely, Jared. So we have three models right now: the Go, the Revo RT, and the Horizon. And it's not as much as a good, better, best solution. It's really kind of different focuses for different uses there. The Go is really the most cost-effective unit designed, for situations where, not disposable situations, but in mine situations where having more units at a lower cost and a little lower, function set or feature set on it benefits them, where they want to have multiple units running all over the mine, things like that. The Revo RT has the ability to actually look at the data real time. So we tend to sell a lot of those to guys mapping out architecture and floor plans and things like that, where they can get the real feedback. Did I get all the rooms? Did I get everything? Especially if you have what I jokingly call the architect special type buildings with weird little corners and things like that that you can map out. By far, our best seller is the Horizon, and it is the Swiss Army knife of the product basket. So that same scanner can be used handheld. You can be mounted on a drone, mounted on a vehicle, mounted on brackets to drop down shafts and things like that. And the biggest thing on that one is the range is dramatically higher. So the first two are typically about a 30-meter range on the laser, where Horizon can shoot out over 100 meters. So as you can imagine, as you're walking through a space, being able to collect that amount of data, be it outside of a mine environment, collecting the buildings around you, in underground environments with stoops and things like that, being able to project those lasers down into those voids is a major benefit. And that flexibility helps a lot of our clients really get that return on investment, where they can, use it in the morning on a handheld, and then fly volumes with it in the afternoon, all with the same product, which is pretty cool.
I want to get also, there's so much I want to cover, because I want to also understand how that data is then getting distributed out and collected and all that. So we're going to get into that. And kind of in that vein, Owen, now that we kind of have a product breakdown, the term georeferencing, again, it's one of these things, you kind of hear it. A lot of people understand what it is. I don't. So can you sort of walk us through, there's a couple of things I want to understand. The speed of these units, sort of how fast they're actually processing the data, because I think that's important for customers to understand, but also the sort of why georeferencing is important, and what, because you said it's not the need of a satellite, right? With these
That's
units?
it. Yeah.
So can you just kind of walk us through that?
No, exactly. So just to start, the first question you asked with the speed of processing. So we have obviously we have two methods. We have the real-time method or the post-processing method. So as Matt said, we've got the real-time unit, where it literally, you have a tablet next to you and the scanner goes where it needs to go and scans, and you have the resulting point cloud live on your tablet. So that's one side. We can do a lot of this in real time, which is when you actually see it working, it just blows your mind. It's crazy. And when you consider how survey has been traditionally in mines, using these cumbersome methods such as tripods and setting these up, and having to manually, a team of 2, maybe 3 people setting up all the time underground. Being able to scan and have this data in real time on a tablet is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And this is why we are actual global leaders in the mapping industry.
I just have a quick question to either one of you. And I've asked this many times on the show with products that they're so innovative. It's like, it's the equivalent in some ways of like before all this craziness happened and there was shutdowns and that, we used to have people, they'd come in from the US to come sit in our studio. Now, both of you in completely different locations. Gowdy can produce a show from a completely different location and all. It's such a drastic change. Fortunately, we had the support of the entire world had to shift. So we could actually do it and communicate it. If this hadn't happened, it would have been very difficult to get people to do these shows. They wouldn't have seen the value. They were like, well, we want to be one-on-one. They're so used to trade shows and things like that. Is it still hard to communicate when it's like, okay, there is no tripods, there is no GPS, and you're eliminating basically everything that they built to understand, and now you're just throwing it away. What's the conversation like? Or do people go, oh, this is great?
Yeah, it's difficult at first because a lot of these skills, we don't want people to lose these skills. Surveying is a certain skill set on a mine that you simply cannot lose. It's a highly educated and it's a really technical piece of knowledge to have. And we are always going to need surveyors doing surveying work. What we are trying to do is make some of the everyday routine jobs of capturing a whole part of the mine and collecting that data. We're trying to make that a lot easier for them. So instead of one operator going down and setting up the tripod, only scanning a small area of the mine, we can say the surveyor can stay in the office, can do their everyday work, and a normal operator can go underground and capture that data for them. We're trying to make it a bit easier than that. That's what the industry has been calling for. There's not as many skilled workers coming through these days in that technical line. We're seeing quite a drop-off in skilled survey operators these days. So there is a need for a technology to be usable by your everyday operator. And we are seeing a lot of bigger companies such as Rio Tinto, Anglo American, De Beers, wanting to go away from having so many people underground. Exactly like you said, Jared, you're having less people able to go to site these days. You know, they want to limit the footfall on site and limit the footfall underground. So all of a sudden we can give them a unit just like this with one button operation, and they can collect all that data.
Here. Can I see that one more time, actually? That thing's sick.
That's it. It has a cable come off then, and then just a shoulder-mounted data logger. That's just here. And that's it. That's the kit. That's all it is.
And Jared, I mean, the system is remarkably easy. I mean, there's 3 buttons on the system, of which
I was going to ask that. Yeah,
and it's actually one is actually duplicated, so it's really a 2-button system. And this, I mean, in this current times, I switched over to GeoSLAM and learning the system. It's to the point it's easy enough that my 9-year-old daughter can scan like it's going out of style. So it's a super simple system to use, to the point that I've even had clients say, we can't get to these remote areas. We're just going to ship you the scanner. We're going to teach you half an hour how to use it, and the end user ends up, like the drafting company or a CAD company, ends up getting someone else to do the scanning for them and sending back the equipment. So it's really user friendly.
Yeah, that's another question I wanted to have. I want to jump into some of this other information too on these white papers, but is that designed, because this is something way beyond my pay grade, and I don't want to put either of you on the spot, but you say it's essentially a 2-button system. That being able to there's some technology out there that is absolutely amazing if you know how to use it, and that's a big if. How big is the leap? I would compare it. I'd probably have more experience in like some website development stuff. So the back end of a website can get quite complicated, and then it has to all filter into this really easy, user-friendly experience. And the easier it is out front, probably the more complicated it is in the back end. Was that ever a challenge? Have either of you had that sort of experience of actually that design and development of making it this user-friendly? Because I understand there's a huge gap between what you see going on in the front and what's actually in the back.
Yeah. If we could have another hour where we can go over the physics and the maths of what SLAM actually is, and the mathematical equations in making this to be able to walk through an environment and for it to detect features, to align scan frames. If we can have another hour to go through that, I don't think we could even scratch the surface of it.
Right.
So to be able to go from all this very complex algorithm of being able to scan and automatically align a whole data set is to a drag and drop feature, and it automatically processes for you, is absolutely next level. It's crazy. And I think that's where a lot of SLAM competitors fall down. They're overcomplicating a lot of these issues, where our customers want to go out, they want to capture data. Mm-hmm. That's what they want to do. We do not want to hold up an operator underground. where they have to predefine some settings, where they have to tell it X, Y, and Z, and then they can go scanning. We can turn on, we can go scan. The complexity comes in all the algorithm basis afterwards when we're processing, and that's all done, in the software for them. And it's next level. I think we've put a lot of work into the front end developing, so there's an interface in front of the user when it comes to processing. They don't really need to know what is actually doing or what stage they're at. They just want the results at the end. And this is where we're going, where we want to get them to scan, get them to go do what they need to do. And we just want to deliver to them exactly what they need in the right format and wherever they want.
Go ahead, Matt.
And to further that, Jared, I mean, the other big thing is if it's super easy to use, the users are more likely to do it. So in a typical environment, again, going back to terrestrial, you would only potentially scan or do a certain section, once a year, once a quarter, things like that. And if it's that easy to use, then you're more likely to send someone on, dare I say, a weekly basis or even a daily basis to check for updates and monitor in a lot more real time. And as a result, these industries are able to make a lot smarter decisions because they have up-to-date information. And that tends to make the upper management of a lot of these locations a lot happier.
That is such a good point, is that when you make these processes easy, bordering on even fun, you just get the production out of it. When there's 50 steps to follow, it's but I was going to ask, so you sort of said something on, is that if I show up with one of your units, I'm not having to program in that, okay, I'm now scanning Christ the Redeemer, I'm now doing an underground mine. It's automatically configuring, and it just figures out what it's looking at, what it's scanning?
Sure, that's right. So we basically have a preset to our systems when it comes to processing that generally works in most environments. And then the next stage, then, what we can do in our newest software being released, which is GeoSLAM Connect, we can have predefined algorithms then that suits more of an underground setting. All this is just to bring down the processing time.
Yeah, it's amazing. I just want to quickly go through, like, is there like a mine, anywhere in the world that you just that's sort of using you on different streams of their operation? Is there sort of an example to sort of walk through and then maybe even match up some of the units with this type of operations? I know mines, you can't break down. A lot of mines are pretty secure in the information they release, but is there an example or even a type of mine that you can sort of walk us through?
Sure. We've got hundreds of mines out there that we work with, and we are to that scale. We are to quite a large scale around the world now. We've got Anglo-American, Rio Tinto, De Beers. A lot of these companies are on board with us. But there's one mine in particular here in the UK, is part of the ICL Group. So it's Bowlby Mine, Cleveland Potash, up in the north here in England. So they have a couple of ZEB horizons, and they've had quite a lot of requirements recently to create more stockpile surveys. So they've gone from monthly, they're now going from monthly to weekly surveys of all their stockpiles. But they also need to do their production scans most mornings as well. So they need a system where in the morning they can go down the mine, they can go down the pit, they can scan the active headings before the mining crew come in. So it needs to be rapid and easily deployable. So they go around, they scan all the active headings. There's 4, maybe 5 active headings, and they can do this with one system. This one system then, they can take to the surface about lunchtime, and they can go and do their stockpiles straight away. There's no hardware changes. That's all they do. They turn it on, they go around, and that's it. And going back to what we were talking about earlier with the georeferencing, they use the georeferencing underground. And we created a process called adjust to control. This is where we simply put down the scanner on a known coordinate. So in the mine, you'll have loads of survey pickup points. We put down the scanner on one of these known coordinates, and then we carry on the scan. And we tend to try and pick up we'll pick up 4 of these known coordinates. So we put the scanner down on these 4 coordinates. And then from a file that's within the processing software, we can pick out then what these actual true coordinates are. All of a sudden, this means we have a fully georeferenced scan. This means this data, so this 3D structure that we've collected using the scanner, knows exactly where it is in the world. Regardless of satellite connection, because we're underground, we can give it its true global coordinates underground. The way that's different to competitors is we don't have to go through the scan and identify these areas. A lot of other scanners, you have to look at perhaps a 3D structure within the scan or some kind of markings on the wall. We just simply take the scanner, we put it down, we align this little hole here to the survey marker, put it down, and then we can georeference that data easily. So this mine in the north of England, they can do all these different jobs. They can use handheld. They even put the scanner onto a drone to do their massive stockpiles. They've got these huge stockyards that's on a dockside, ready to be loaded. A lot of these mines, they can't rely now on quarterly scans for stockpile inventories. They need monthly, they need weekly. They need this information for better decision making.
Right.
They need to know how much of this commodity is sitting there. They can't afford to send a surveyor there for a week to walk around it with either GPS equipment, which is put it down, take one position, put it down, take one position. That's too slow, it's too dangerous. Same with terrestrial scanning, tripod-based. It's quite slow. So the solution is just to walk around. You literally walk around the outside of the stockpile, and then using our GeoSLAM volumes software automatically gives you the tonnages sitting there. It's that next level of automation. It's what people have been asking for. We're doing it.
Yeah, it's amazing. The other thing I was going to ask about is just like these. You've got some neat videos, and I wasn't sure if this was just sort of some sort of animation or if this was actually from your software. But it's scanning tunnels and it's scanning shafts, and it's actually showing what your software is doing. I'm going to bring those. We'll get Gary to bring those videos up to actually see them. And just, I mean, you've obviously touched on elements of it, but just walk us through what's actually happening. So those videos that we're seeing, is that actually being what your software and your machines are giving back?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We are delivering that point cloud, that accurate point cloud. And what's really helped us recently is our constant development on improving our SLAM algorithm and improving the actual sensor itself. We're accurate to 5 millimeters now, which is crazy. We can walk around with this scanner and we can be accurate to 5 millimeters, which is just absolutely mind-boggling. So going back to those videos, all these fly-throughs that we're doing, they're actual working mines. And that's the level of data that we can deliver to the customer. And like I said, we're trying to automate the processes from collection. We're trying to deliver the data in the exact right format, exactly where it needs to be on the database with the least amount of human interaction as possible. We can automate all that for you. We just need somebody to put the raw data into a computer. There'll be a point cloud at the end then that's completely ready to go for whatever packages it is. As you can see in some of these screenshots that we provide and that's on our website, we work with partners such as Deswick, Maptech, Micromine. We want to deliver the data to these software partners because that's what the customers want. That's what they always ask us. The customers want a way of getting data in the best way possible into these software packages.
So back into the softwares, yeah.
Yeah, and we're working with them. We're automating these. The workflow is there for them. And we've worked really hard with them. And, we're hearing back from these software companies that SLAM is the way forward. They're accepting that for underground mining and for your stockpiles. They know that SLAM is the way forward. Just to give somebody these sensors to walk around, they can get the data into their software the best way possible. So it's really an exciting time.
Yeah, I do think, I hope that you have a good experience on this show. And then I do think we should do a show one day of breaking down the software. Obviously, I'm sure there's some proprietary stuff that we won't be able to cover. But actually, that complete workflow would be very interesting, I think, to a lot of people. But Matt, let's go a little bit of where your focus is on that Canadian market. What's sort of GeoSLAM's goal here, and how are you going about expanding into the Canadian market? Do they have a fairly strong presence here, or is this really your role to sort of bring it up to a much higher level here in Canada?
We've always had a presence, but not to the level that we've always wanted. So we're really working hard to expand that more and more. So we do have some really amazing dealers within Canada that have been helping us in that regard to try and push and promote it that way. And much as you said at the beginning, it is such a different technology that getting these minds to first kind of go accept it and realize that this is actually the way things are going forward. I mean, there's a certain bit of a chicken and egg to get them to accept learn about the technology that way, and that's been a real a push that way. And the other interesting one is because we have such a worldwide spread that a lot of these companies are working multinationally. So it is a lot easier for us to say, well, by the way, the same company in Australia has the system. It's a lot easier to leverage that towards other mines around the world in that regard.
What about just like sampling and people trying? Like, is it that kind of product, or do you have any sort of ways that people just kind of want to check it out, or do you use that they've, what you just said, that the same company has used it over here in Australia, so you can try it here, or do you have some sort of way that people can kind of do a test drive, if you will?
In this current climate, obviously there's no trade shows, there's no real site visits. People were pretty locked down with everything. So what we came up with was our demo in a box program, and I think it really speaks to the simplicity and ease of use of the system to use. That we were basically, people could easily apply on our website, and we can obviously get that link to you guys. That they could apply. We send out a scanner to them with a software license that they can try it out with, and it's the system is so easy to use that after a half-hour web session, a lot of these guys are quite proficient. And interestingly enough, some of the videos that we've shared with you and that are on our site are from these demo in the box users. So these are guys who really have first-time users or have only been scanning for 3 days at that point, are able to collect amazing data sets, try it out, see how it's going to work in the real world for them, and and from there, a lot of times they don't want to send the unit back because they're just amazed at how easily and how quickly they've been able to do data, and that's been a real game changer for us, both in Canada and worldwide.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures of, I think there may be people you send those demo to the boxes to, actually, like on social media, posting it, and it's a great thing to do. I was going to ask I saw like one of your dealers, I think they're called Cardo Canada. And I know you have other dealers, and this is you're not promoting all your dealers on the show. It'd be a completely different setup, but they're doing like drones and that. So are some of your dealers, are they actually taking your units and then merging it with some of the other stuff that they're doing? Is that somewhere like Cardo Canada? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, so I mean, Cardo Canada does a couple things. I mean, one is obviously our scanner can get mounted to drones, from DJI or Free Flight and things like that. But again, much to Owen's point there, our data can integrate within other survey solutions, scanning solutions. So they can take our data, merge it with photogrammetry, merge it with terrestrial scanning, all sorts of different things, and integrate it to have a complete package and a full overview of a site, to then potentially link in other things, or piecemeal as, okay, we have some interior applications that we want to supplement, let's say, some of our drone stuff with as well. So that's a real benefit for a lot of our dealers around the world.
Yeah, it's again, there's so much. It's one of these shows, and I run into them every now and then where I'm just like, oh, as the interview goes on, I go, oh, we could have done this, we could have done it's like because a company like yours, when you're actually leading in innovation, it's not just part of a slogan somewhere, but it's actually there. It's just when you start unpacking it, it just opens up one layer after the other. Are you planning on any is there a hope, Matt, of doing any sort of boots on the ground, going to some trade shows, going to some events, actually doing a little, getting out there and talking directly to people a little bit more? Is that on the horizon at all?
Yeah, actually, we're heading out actually in a couple of weeks here with the dealer you mentioned, Cardo. We're doing a road show through Ontario and Quebec. Obviously, it's a very heavy mining focused region, going through so a lot of the very mining intensive areas in Sudbury and Timmins and Val-d'Or, and working our way around. So we definitely doing that in light of the lack of trade shows in Canada. Because at this point, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like stuff's really happening until 2022. And the response has been amazing because people really are just excited to see technology and really excited to see people again.
Yeah, no, it's. I remember when for CIM, they had me come out to their virtual 21. I was doing their sort of hosting the event for them. And it was the first time I'd actually sat with people and talked, and about like in a work environment. And it was amazing how much fun it is. So I think everybody's looking forward to it. And I wanted to go just, Owen, over to you before we wrap up this interview. This type of technology, it's obviously operating at a very high level, but you're always going to be going to the next thing and expanding and making it more efficient. What's sort of the outward focus right now, or inward focus, I should say, of developing the technology? Is there another stage? I think you mentioned something earlier that's sort of coming to fruition now. Yeah,
I think to go along with all the buzzwords that everybody's talking about, automation and all that. It's hard for an external company that we're not actually based on a mine. So we're trying to create solutions that will try and suit as many of our customers within mining as possible. One prerequisite from one company will be different to another. One thing they do want is automation. And that is what we are working very hard in doing that. We are creating a platform where we kind of take the raw data in. We will obviously process it using our SLAM processing. So you get your point cloud, and then we'll apply any filters that's needed on it, any kind of cleaning that we need on the point cloud we can do, and then we can georeference it. All these steps I'm naming now will be done automatically. And there are stages here where before it would need importing into a software package, manually doing it, manually cleaning data. We're trying to get rid of that. We are truly trying to automate this process because that's what our customers want and need. And what I'm really confident, and I've got a lot of encouragement from the industry right now, I think the industry is opening up to adopting a lot of this technology. Yeah. And what I'm really started to see now is companies that maybe might have not worked together before are now starting to work together. We are trying to get the best solution to these mining companies. We truly are. And if that means GeoSLAM have to work with another software provider to try and get the end solution, we're open to that. And I am noticing the past few months, a lot of these software companies, your Deswix, MapTech, all these different software companies are open to these ideas.
Yeah.
Which makes developing all these stages a lot easier. And then our end customers then will have a lot more satisfaction in the end. We will deliver the right product then. So it's a really great time in the industry, but it's also crucial that we have to execute this in the right way to try and make sure that the industry does progress the way it needs to. And we're sitting there and we're trying to do that, and we're confident. We're very confident that our solutions are going in the way that our customers need it to.
Yeah, and I do think when you use the word crucial, is that the mining. I mean, when something would go wrong, it'd make the news, but other than that, it pretty much just stayed out of the sort of out of public eye. But now, with all the mining that is going to happen, rare earth minerals and those type of things, it's going to just be ramping up in a way that the world has never even come close to seeing. The eyes of the world will be on the mining industry. So I don't think they could have picked. Now, maybe 10 years ago, it might have been they could have got out ahead of it a little bit. But I mean, now it is crucial. There is just no question. Every way that they can be more efficient, safer, more transparent. All these things that I'm talking to people all the time in the industry, and I mean, it's before. Even a few years ago, it was sort of a talking point. It was like, oh, we got to throw this into the presentation. Now, I mean, people are serious about it. I mean, they don't need to be told, like, no, we're doing this as a company. So I can see how for your company, it is just, I don't think there could be a better time to doing what you're doing. One last question, Owen, I have to ask just over you, because you're part of sort of that development. And I just know for us, we used to do some more consulting and that, just the documentation of development was just crazy. And for what you're doing, just keeping track. I know this is kind of for end of show kind of Hail Mary question, but just keeping track of all the development and all the stages and the team and just the knowledge, making sure that it doesn't, someone says something that's key that we can use that, and making sure that's documented because it might not get implemented for another 6 months. How does that even happen in a company doing what you're doing? Well, you're also distributing out to customers.
We have some incredible people working for us. These are the kind of names that you'll never see because, they're on the back end doing some things that, you can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And we've got a really strong team based worldwide, but our core development is done here in the UK. We've got such a strong leadership team, and some of the skills that this company have is just incredible. We're a tight-knit, close team. And what I think GeoSLAM does well, we try and expose our development team to the real problem that's out there. We do try and show them the fundamental issues that operators will have with our systems. So some little changes that's done in the software to make one little step easier goes a long way for our customers. And our CEO, Graham Hunter, he comes from a mining background. He was a mining engineer. So from all the way back then, we've always had such a push to try and make the experience as easy as possible for our users. But since we've developed, I don't know how they've been able to do it, but we've got some incredible people working for us.
Yeah, it's so far removed from here. I'm so far from an engineer or anything like that. But I just love this show is like an excuse for me to get to talk to all these brilliant people that can develop all this technology that I don't have a hope of doing. So it's really amazing. Thank you both for coming on the show. I mean, we're obviously going to put links and tags, to GeoSLAM and to both of you so people can connect. It's great having you on the show. There's so much to cover. If I could do the show again, I'd probably have booked another couple hours and maybe got like 4 members of your team all unpacking, but we wanted to keep it reasonable for the first one. So thank you for coming on, both of you, Matt and Owen. Hope to have you back. It was really great to have you.
Thanks for having us.
No, thank you very much. Really enjoyed it.
And thank you, audience, for watching. It is it's an honor for us. I can't really say it any way, and that so many people in the mining industry are trusting us to unpack their technology. It's so much fun. And thank you for Gowdy talking about people working behind the scenes. She's a mixture of being on the show, but sometimes when there's 2 guests, she's working just behind the scenes. So shout out to her. Thank you to all our sponsors. Our partnership with CIM is really, really taking off, and they are providing a ton of support right now to get Mining Now really ramped up over the next year for when trade shows do come back, and they will come back. So thank you to them. See you on the next episode, everybody. Oh, make sure to subscribe, follow, share, comment, and suggest guests. We can't find everybody. We need you to help us out. So thanks for that as well. See you on the next episode of Mining Now.